Costina, tell me a little bit about your upbringing.
My upbringing, for the most part, was pretty good. Typical family. I had two brothers. Excuse me. My dad was in the military, in the Air Force. My mom, she worked different little jobs. But for the most part, it was pretty normal as far as my family goes. I'm sorry. I always had a longing to want to connect with my father more. There wasn't any kind of abuse or neglect or anything. It was just a sense of not. It just seems like I wasn't really good enough for him. I couldn't tell you where that came from. It was just something I've always felt. I do know. I experienced a lot of abuse, and not from family, but from people outside of my family. And for the most part, I kept it secret. There were a couple times that I did tell my parents what happened, and the reaction from my father was one of, how can I put it? It was like he was blaming me for what had happened. I was raped by someone I didn't know. We were friends, but we weren't, dating or anything like that. But I was raped, and when he was told, I was pretty much blamed and was called a whore, and asked questions like, "Why are you so promiscuous?" Things like that. And that, I guess, furthered the feelings of not being good enough for my dad. I remember, and this was actually following a molestation that occurred around, I believe I was 6 or 7. I remember we were stationed in Alaska, and I was molested by an older, a teenager. I believe he was probably about 18. After that occurred, I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself. But I do remember later, maybe a few months later, I started feeling an attraction for a girl. She was a playmate or classmate. And I remember feeling an attraction, and we were close. I didn't talk to her about the, molestation or anything, but we were close. But I felt it was more than just, oh, she's my friend, she's a playmate. It was more like a crush type of thing. And it confused me. It really did confuse me, because I'm thinking, okay, this is a girl. And I've always been taught that liking someone of the same sex is not right, it's wrong. Yeah. I never really did anything with that. I never, told the girl that I like you, anything like that. I just kept those feelings to myself too. There were times when I have even had a crush on a female teacher as well. And I mean, I think it was because, you know, she just seemed so loving and caring. I'm sorry. She seemed so loving and caring. It just drew me to her, and it did get to the point where I was feeling more than just I don't know how to put it, but it was more than just a crush type of feeling. My teenage years were pretty much secretive. I did have feelings for different women, and I did share those with them. And we did have a relationship, but it wasn't something that was broadcast, or I wasn't out like that. When I first came out, I felt so relieved. Not having to hide who I was and what I was doing. I remember when I was trying to keep it a secret and I would tell people, well, I have a date, they would automatically assume it's with a male. They didn't even ask. And I didn't say anything. But I felt so closed in. But when I just let everything go and said forget it and started living openly, it honestly I felt relieved. I won't deny, I know it was wrong, but everything seemed right to me. Even though I felt relieved that I was living openly gay, there was still an emptiness in me. And I've been involved in church for most of my adult life. So there was still, it was like this pulling, the only way that I can describe it, and had to be from God pulling me to come out of this lifestyle. But I kept going back and forth. It was so empty for me. I've been with maybe, I'll say over 10 women, 10 to 15 women over the period of time. And each time I would say in the beginning, oh, she's the one for me. But later on, no one really could fill that void. I know now it was only God could fill that void, but just constantly, just empty. Best way that I can describe it. Now, I've tried several times to go to different leaders and ask for help, and I would get the same reaction. You know, homosexuality is a sin. I know that. You know that part, right? I know that. I need someone to tell me how to come out. And that went on for a while. My last relationship that I was involved with, it was the same as any other relationship that I had. I guess it was more of me just being sick and tired of feeling empty, you know, being in a relationship, she's saying that she loves me. I'm saying that I love her, but just still feeling empty. And I just got so sick and tired of feeling that way. And so I finally decided I'm through. Enough. Yeah, I was in a sanctification process. I cut off all ties from the gay lifestyle. I had to, for me, it took just cutting all ties with my friends as well. And I had friends who were in the gay lifestyle, and I also had friends that weren't in the gay lifestyle, but they were pro-gay. I guess that's what they call it now, pro-gay. And so I had to cut them loose too. And so it was a long time I was by myself. Got in the Word more, prayed more, a lot of fasting. And that was pretty much my life for probably a few years. I have an accountability person through my church, and also in another state as well, who helped me go through the process of deliverance. So now I think back now and how I am. I don't know. I'm just glad I'm out. I am just so glad I'm out. There's no more emptiness, no more loneliness. It's just, I do feel God's love. Definitely. Definitely. And I don't care what anyone says. I post a lot on Facebook, and I do get messages in my inbox, and people not believing that I'm free, and they'll say things like, "Oh, you're still gay. Why don't you just admit it? Just be honest." And I have to tell them, I'm free. I'm not gay. I'm delivered, and you can be delivered too. I'll try to witness to them if they want to hear it, but can't nobody convince me that I'm not free. Yeah, so
Take anybody
hey,
convince you.
nobody can convince me that I'm not free.
Praise God.
Mm-mm.